So to kick off our evening tonight, we have a new gold level presenting sponsor we'd like you to meet. Here to present the first award, please welcome the President of Wimbledon Financial, Duncan Robinson.
Good evening. Thank you, Randine. My name is Duncan Robinson, a presenting sponsor for this evening's awards. And I'd like to share with you an event in my life that has ultimately brought me before you here this evening. It was, and I was going through a significant challenge in my life where self-doubt was absolutely the pinnacle, the top of the mountain. My son Michael had just passed away of childhood cancer. It was raw and it was wrong. It broke. It was raw and it was wrong. This cancer had taken him from us. It was so challenging for me and his two sisters, who were 5 and 16, Jacqueline and Zoanne. How was I to cope? Imagine if you could and would imagine. It was at this time I questioned my own purpose. I said, do I need to be here? Maybe, just maybe, I should complete my life. I thought about that for about 5 seconds, realizing what I just contemplated. I would not let that chitter-chatter in my head win this battle. I had 2 daughters whom I needed to guide through this loss of their brother. So completing my life was simply not an option. I had plenty to accomplish in my future life. That was 18 years ago, since my beloved Michael and best friend lost his cancer battle. Here's what I've come to understand and realize is for each of us, we all have difficult struggles. Each and every one of you. If I had a private conversation with each and every one of you, you could tell me your private struggles and unique challenges. And what we try and ultimately find is the courage to get through these challenging times. We manage, and what do we find? We find ultimate strength. Here's my big ask for you tonight. I ask you to consider joining me as I became a sponsor, or be that donor to this inspirational event to help others find that deep down strength and courage. So together we can fuel more success stories like those of tonight's amazing Courage to Come Back recipients. I'm going to leave you with this. Here's what I've discovered. We never know strength. You never know strength until strength is your only option. We dig deep in this perfectly imperfect life that we have. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a perfection of it. It's imperfect. I salute the recipients tonight for their amazing strength and courage to come back. My heroes, each and every one of them. Congratulations and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Okay. Now to present our first award. This Courage to Come Back award recognizes that person who best exemplifies the courage and strength it takes not only to overcome the obstacles of living with a mental illness, but to go on to live their life in a manner that gives hope and assistance to others who live with mental illness.
Her dad was a residential school survivor. He left her mom when she was pregnant. At school, she was bullied because she had a lisp. At home, her stepfather sexually abused her. When he left, a new stepfather came into her life who beat her. Once so badly that her buttocks bled. She still has scars. Finally, she ran away, came to Vancouver and lived in Kitsilano at the end of the hippie era. Vulnerable and alone, she was raped. Then she was transported into the U.S. to work in the sex trade. When she tried to escape, her pimp pulled a gun and tried to shoot her. She escaped with her life and nothing else. She had no job, no home, no friends, no family. She was 15 years old. Her name is Barbara Harris. When she finally returned to Vancouver, Barbara describes it as being on a suicide mission. She became addicted to heroin and for a year lived with her drug-dealing boyfriend. Then he left her. She found herself on the floor of a condemned house, praying to die. Miraculously, she didn't die. In fact, she quit heroin cold turkey. She was 16 years old. Barbara needed a job. She was using alcohol to help cope with the demons of her life. And she started working as a dancer. And that led to stripping. For the next 12 years, she flourished as a stripper while her life spiraled out of control. Alcohol use led to cocaine use. Substance abuse led to toxic relationships. She was sliding into hell. She wanted to die, but she didn't have the strength to kill herself. Sometimes when you are laying on your back at the bottom of your tortured life, your only view is up. She knew a woman who was in the 12-step program. On Christmas Day, 1985, Barbara picked up the phone and called her. She didn't think she had the strength to kill herself, yet imagine the strength it took to pick up that phone. That's the amazing strength of Barbara Harris. She attended her first meeting on January 3rd, 1986. For 5 days, she attended meetings and continued to use alcohol and drugs. And then on the 6th day, she stopped, just like that. Stopped using alcohol to push away the demons of her past. Stopped using drugs to push away her present wretched misery. And to this day, she has never used alcohol or drugs again. When Barbara stopped self-medicating, she began to heal. She also unleashed an army of demons determined to suck her back into the darkness. She suffered from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Depression was her constant companion. Suicidal thoughts haunted her. But Barbara never gave up, always fought to stay on the path. It took almost 9 years. But one day, Barbara decided to go back to school. Barbara enrolled at Langara College, and at graduation, she was on the dean's list completing all her courses with honors. With clarity returning to her life, she enrolled in the UBC School of Social Work. She earned a bachelor's degree and achieved entry into the Golden Key National Honor Society for Academic Excellence. She went on to do her master's degree in social work, where her research focused on urban Aboriginal women in recovery from addiction. After graduation, she began to work at the Vancouver Native Health Clinic and the Residential School Healing Center. There, she began to understand the demons that had tortured the father she had never known. UBC hired her to coordinate the Aboriginal Social Work program, and she began teaching at the School of Social Work and to study for her PhD at Simon Fraser University. In 2009, she graduated as Dr. Barbara Harris. A long journey from that bullied little girl in elementary school. Today, she has a thriving practice, counseling trauma survivors, anyone who has experienced a devastating event in their lives. She also found her dad and cared for him for 4 years until he died, because that's who she is, someone who cares, who once lived in darkness, but then found the light. Light she now shines to guide others along the path she once walked, until the day she found her courage to come back.
Courage to Come Back Award, recipient for mental health, Dr. Barbara Harris.
Good evening. I want to thank Coast Mental Health and everyone who helped make this event happen. And I want to thank all of you that joined us tonight to celebrate. I am honored to stand among the recipients for the 2016 Courage to Come Back Awards. When I was 17, my children's aid social worker told me that I should write a book. I laughed. I thought he was absolutely nuts. What could I possibly have to say? Sure, I had been through a lot, but hey, I was still just a kid, really. Now, over 40 years later, I've managed to come up with a few words. At the ripe old age of 14, I was just trying to survive, but every now and then, defiance would appear. I'd grab my last $20 and I'd head down to the Hotel Vancouver for Eggs Benedict. I'd sit in Griffin's, taking my sweet time, drinking my tea and eating my lunch. I'd look at all the normal people thinking, okay, God, if you're there, go ahead, let me starve. But right now, I'm going to enjoy my lunch. Looking back, life seems incredibly mysterious. At times, I faced danger, but I lived. At times, I wanted to kill myself, but I didn't. At times, I simply had no hope. But I did hopeful things, like breathing. At times, no vision. But I dreamed dreams I could never say out loud because the disappointment of not realizing those dreams might be what pushed me to extinction. And I had no faith, but people would rescue me. A few times they literally saved my life. I was always suspicious of kindness, and I expected the worst: betrayal, pain, suffering. That was normal. And it was only pain or unexpected kindness that broke through to my consciousness. Everything else seemed non-existent. I was numb to our universe. But what kept me going? Was it simply Darwin's survival instinct? Something in me defied everything I believed about myself and about the world. Defied all that would kill me, haunt me, wound me. And eventually, my stubbornness became my determination to succeed, even though some part of me expected to fail. And my books, which were my escape in childhood, became my path to a PhD. I often made a joke that, hey, low self-esteem isn't all bad, look where it got me. I say that tongue-in-cheek. My life is full of contradictions: survival, defiance, struggle, and success. Today it is filled with a commitment to learning, growing, giving, doing, being, to become all that I can be. That is, to self-actualize. And ultimately, I am grateful for the opportunity to have a life at all. In my culture, we hold hands with one facing up and one facing down. One is to receive and one is to give. A counselor told me once that my experiences would help me to help others. At the time, that message did not console me. In fact, it made me angry. But today, it is my truth. I lost my spot. I still have anxiety. I still have moments where the old demons come back to haunt me. But they don't take over my life anymore. And today, through my healing, I know at the very least how to hold space for others. I now understand what it is to believe in those who do not believe in themselves. Through my experiences, I can hopefully be the kindness that got through to me in what seemed like a nasty, lonely world. This story, as it is with all those who rise from adversity, truly exemplifies a mystery, the great mystery of life. Thank you.